All right, Brady. So, in your own words, tell us what a backyard ultra is.
Well, a backyard ultra is hell, is going to hell and back. But the concept of it is running a 6.7 kilometer loop on the hour every hour with a group of people until there's one person standing.
Pretty good. Pretty good way of putting it. You'd never done a backyard ultra before. This.
Never. No.
And let's give it a little bit of context as well. 6 days prior, what did you do?
I raced the Ballarat half marathon, PB to half marathon.
And what was your time?
1:14.19.
Who does that?
insane.
Nobody does that.
Oh, that would be. I would never give anyone any of that type of advice to run a 21K event a week out from a backyard ultra
At that
Neither would I.
speed.
at that speed.
Neither would I.
But take us back to what your thoughts were around signing up to a backyard ultra and doing a half marathon a week out.
Yeah. So I always wanted to do a backyard and I wanted to do one this year, but my overall goal for the year was to run a sub 2:30 marathon. And to be able to complete that in the best possible condition, I thought I needed to do my backyard in the first half of the year. And then I also wanted to complete a half marathon in half that time. So I knew that if I completed a half marathon in half that time, then in 6 months' time, I could hopefully hold that pace for the full marathon for my overall goal. So I thought both my half marathon PB and the backyard ultra have to be in the first half of the year. And just the way that the whole race calendar played out around Victoria, the only, when I say appropriate way, it's probably not appropriate to do it that way, but the most appropriate way for me to do it was Ballarat half marathon because it was local, it was fast and flat, and then Melbourne front yard ultra because it was after the half marathon because a lot of the other backyards were before it and I couldn't sacrifice trying to do a backyard and running for multiple days and then being fully cooked and then trying to do the fast half marathon. So I knew that my body, from what I've done previously, running a fast half in I'm on my feet for less than 75 minutes. I know I can recover from that in 6 days, then go into the backyard ultra.
Yeah, so backyard ultras are you're running so slow in a backyard ultra and you've been training for speed. How did you, in your head, how did that sit that you were training all this speed and then obviously your endurance may not have been enough to get you through that event?
Yeah, it was really funny because my mind was shifting from the two throughout training and because I signed up for both of them at the same time and then I got Achilles tendonitis and I was like, all I had to do was focus on getting my Achilles better. So I was running a 15-kilometer week and then slowly built back up. But by the time I built back the strength to run, I thought I need to get quick now because I'm not running fast enough for the half marathon. So then all I did with it was a speed block for that half marathon. And then sometimes I'd just be listening to podcasts and just trick my brain into thinking that I've been also training for this backyard ultra. And then I'd go back into the speed training. I'd be like, okay, now all I care about is breaking this sub 75 and I'd forget about the backyard ultra. So I focused on that, completed the sub 75 half marathon. And then once that was completed, I was like, well, I have 6 days until this backyard ultra. And then I told myself, I just need to convince myself that I've been running 300K weeks going into this backyard. So I'm as prepared as everyone else. And then at some point I was like, hold on, I was running 300K weeks. I did 30 marathons in 30 days and that was 5 months ago. But I was like, I did that. There's got to be something there from that already. So I just took that mindset going into the backyard thinking that I'm just as prepared as everyone else.
Well, what did your training look like before the half marathon in terms of distance per week?
So 12 weeks before the half marathon, I did a 14K week. And then every week from then on, I built it up from 10Ks per week. So I did 25, 35, 45, and I got to 115K week. And that was 2 weeks pre-Ballarat. And then I just deloaded did like a 50 and then like a 30. So I got over I got 2 weeks over 100 kilometers pre Ballarat and pre backyard ultra.
I'm interested to find out a little bit more of what you did between those 6 days, because it's actually like people take so much time off after running a half marathon, and in terms of recovery, what did you do? What were the tricks that you were trying to maybe trial, or did you just kind of go about it?
Yeah. Well, I think from everything I learned from like what I've ran in the past, like I've ran really hard marathons and your body gets beat up from it. So I knew what that felt like. And then I shifted my mindset to like, well, I'm doing half that effort. And the difference between running a half marathon hard and running a full marathon hard, in my opinion, isn't like the marathon's twice as hard as the half marathon, because the second half of the full marathon is like 3 times harder than the first half of the first marathon of the marathon. So when you think it like that, I'm like, I shouldn't take half the amount of time to recover. I should almost take a quarter of the amount of time. But I took all of the stuff I learned through Project 30, the 30 marathons in 30 days for recovery. So as soon as I finished the half marathon, went home, started eating, prioritized sleep, took the next day off work. In that week, I saw my physio for one session, podiatrist for shockwave therapy, was using red light therapy, was using my Hyrenoid and physio cream wrap around my Achilles, was in the recovery labs. Like I took that 6 days very serious, because 4 days after the half marathon, which was a surprise to me, my calves were still sore. So like a day or two going into the backyard.
What is it that you're doing there to kind of ease your mind that everything's okay?
I just thought like something's going to happen. Like you're going to be sore in a backyard ultra. I just thought like if I'm sore from the very start, I don't see myself like a step back from anyone else. Because it was such a different style of running. Like the first few loops, if I ran 5:45s and walked for 10 minutes in each loop, I'm not behind anyone else, but there's like that has no strain on my body at this point. Like I just knew that going into the backyard ultra that I'm going to get sore at some point. So if I'm sore from the start, it's okay. But also I'm at such a lower intensity than what my body's used to that I think I'm going to be all right.
Yeah, like having no real idea of the backyard ultra format, and going into it, obviously, how did you plan around that? Did you have an idea of what kind of pace you wanted to do and what was going to be comfortable for you?
Nah, no idea. So I just had to play it by ear off the first loop. So I started at the start of the corral on the first loop, and me and a guy named Simon went out together, and we were just chatting and we were talking, and we completed that loop in like 40:41. And I thought that felt really slow, because it did to me. And we'd walked heaps, we'd ran really slow. And I was like, this is sweet. And I remember coming to the tent, and I think Ollie said on the first one, he's like, if you want to go far, you're going to have to slow down. And I thought, all right, fair enough. And then we had a conversation together, and Ollie said, and I said, I don't know if I should be running slower or if I should keep my easy run and just walk more. And Ollie helped me out, and we come to the conclusion that walking more and keeping my easy run pace, which is probably quicker than others, was the better option, because it meant that like my body's still using like the mechanics that it's used to and my easy run pace. And then I get like 2-3 extra minutes walk and rest compared to probably some of the other people.
Yeah, and you're just coming in so much slower, and yeah, and yeah, it's just really you don't want to get that body into that shock state. It's like, oh, why am I running so slow now when when you're used to something else?
Yeah, I find that a lot. I found that in Sydney, same deal. I actually ran slower, and I was sore in places that I'm thinking, oh God, I shouldn't be sore there. Why am I so sore? And then you kind of look at your times, and you're like, man, I got sucked into running slow.
Yeah.
Because you think that that's what you got to do. Did you have an idea of a number in your head before you went into Melbourne Front Yard Ultra?
I remember at the start of the year I said 48 hours, but I got rid of that as soon as I binged a bunch of podcasts and stuff. I got rid of that straight away, because I knew that if I hit a number, I'd stop there. So no, I had no number.
I actually have a video. This is on the notes. I'll go play it now.
All right, play it. Let's. For anyone that's listening, we did a pre-event, a little recording with Brady, and we've got a few of these videos for him to have a look back at. This is the guy that had never run a backyard ultra, by the way, and now we're sitting with the guy that's 68 hours.
I'm coming in very confident, and yeah, like I said, I'm not thinking about 48 hours anymore, because I think that like you put a mark on it and it's just going to be a magnet. So if I do hit that, I'll end up dropping out. So I feel like I just want to get around all the people who are like really, really good, and everyone, and just learn as much as I can on the way to go as long as possible.
How does it make you feel watching that back? Are you happy that you dropped the idea of having a big number?
100%. I would have dropped. I have no doubt I would have dropped.
If you had stuck with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what does that actually say about limits? Like your limits as well. Like, do you think? Yeah, because you were you thinking about dropping at 48 when you got there? You're like, nah, it's not going to happen.
No, it was just another number.
Yeah, and that's how you kind of want it to be, don't you?
And it was funny because every time we approached a milestone, I knew the rest of the field were going to drop. So when we hit 300 Ks, I knew someone was going to drop. And when we, we're hitting double milers, you knew people were going to drop. So,
and I guess you just didn't want to be one of those people, did you?
Yeah. I think I listened to enough podcasts of people saying that when they hit their number, they dropped out, that I knew that you just shouldn't have a number in your head.
So were the milestones the hardest part at all for you?
No, not at all. It was just running the same loop over and over and over. It almost killed me, I reckon.
I just want to go back to the start. Like, what did that first loop feel like in terms of, being there with so many people on that start line, and you're so used to when the gun goes off, you go off like a rocket, but actually having a whole bag. What does it actually feel like running with so many people at such a casual pace and chatting?
Yeah, it took so much pressure off the event, because when you race like what I'm used to, or pretty much anything else, you want to be on from the very start, and you're trying to compete. You don't want to be walking at the start. You don't want to be jogging. You need to be onto it. So compared to what I'm used to, the nerves are always really built up, and you're almost panicking that if your first few meters, if your first kilometer aren't on, you're screwed. But with this, you kind of just I can just turn around and stop for 10 minutes and talk to someone if I really wanted. I'm fresh enough to probably stop for quite some time and then run the rest of it through. So it was good coming into an event feeling like that, knowing that there's plenty of time ahead for you to get nervous or feel any of those other feelings, rather than it all coming in like anxiety at the start.
I almost feel like you're the perfect person for a backyard ultra, especially for the first one, because you came into it with absolutely very little knowledge on how to actually run a backyard ultra, but you also came into it with a huge drive, and I feel like the combination there is perfect, because it's not like you're coming in and, like you said before when I was interviewing you, you're like, I don't want to just come here and just do a test run where I run 24 hours, 30 hours. You're actually here for it, but also not knowing the pain that you kind of have to go through to get to the places you want to go to. I feel like that combination really goes well together.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask you, was it challenging not knowing what was to come, or was it more so the excitement kind of overwhelmed you and overwhelmed that worry feeling?
It probably would have been, I think it played in my favor not knowing what it was going to be like, almost, because there was some really, really dark moments there. And I think Sean asked me at the end of the race, what about these numbers? Are they not intimidating you? And I was like, well, at the start, no, because I didn't know what it felt like to be at 30 hours. I didn't know what it felt like to be at 50 hours or trying to fight through your third night of no sleep. I don't know what that feels like. So at the start, I wasn't intimidated by it. But then I was like, when I started hitting the numbers, when I was at 30 and I was in the midst of it, and I was like, this is what it's like. Like, you're going to have to go double this if you want to be great. So inside it was super intimidating. So it was probably good for me to be naive going into it, not knowing what it was going to be like.
But people are actually scared to do events like this. Were you scared of anything?
Nah.
Like absolutely nothing. Nothing you thought about where it's like, oh, that sleep deprivation is like a scary thing that didn't scare you at all. It was just more so that you're interested in it.
I was unsure about it, but not scared at all. I was unsure of how I would operate under it. But honestly, like, I think because I wasn't fearful of it, that's why my body operated so well. And even when it got to like the third night, I was so over it at some points where I was like, if something's bad is gonna happen, I was just like so careless to it. I was like, let it happen. And my body was just like so open to everything that it almost performed better. And it's a really hard thing because I was never anxious about anything. I was never worried that like my knee's going to blow up. I was never worried that I'm not going to make it through the third night. And because I wasn't worried about it and that fear wasn't there, it almost like, it's like not manifesting something into existence. Because I just like,
Yeah.
it's like the complete opposite. Like if you're worried about something, you're manifesting that into your existence. Like it's going to be brought towards you. But I was just like, let it happen. Like whatever happens, happens. And I don't know why I was fearless. I don't know why nothing scared me going into it, but it didn't. And it probably, yeah, it definitely played in my favor. It freed up my body, I reckon.
I just wanted to ask, have you had struggles before this backyard ultra with letting go of things and just overthinking a lot of things?
Yes and no. I think everyone has. In terms of life, 100%. When I'm trying to think of events, just recently I've switched my mindset to being like, you're built for the big stage. Like, just love the big stage, love the nerves, and all of that stuff. You have to transform your mind for that in terms of like the half marathon race. But when it came to like the backyard ultra, I felt like I didn't even need to do that. Like, I don't have to love the big stage because it's slow and steady, one step at a time.
Is that something everybody has to change in their mind to get what they want?
There's definitely things in your mind that you have to change. You have to convince yourself that you're worthy of being there, I think. Because if you think like you're not worthy of being there, you're just not going to get there. And that's when you're going to crumble under the big stage.
I think you described earlier with the half marathon that a marathon almost feels 3 times harder. When you just said about at the 30-hour mark that you're at 30 hours, and this is what I think a lot of people are anxious about. They think that it's going to get worse, that like you just described with the half mara. Did it get worse from say 30 to 60? Did you feel like it was going to get worse, or were you nervous about it getting worse, knowing that, you know, deep down inside you look at, say, something like a half mara and you know that the mara is going to be 3 times harder the second half of it? Did you get anxious at all about that, or did you just, I mean, obviously you said you let go to it, but what was that feeling in that second half?
I didn't think it was going to get worse. I just didn't know if it was going to get better. So like, we had a chat at like 30 hours, and this sounds so dumb to say. Like, I was ready to pull out because I was bored, but I believe that was also like paired up with sleep deprivation. And I was so over the race. Like, I was so convinced that I've never hated anything more than being right there in that moment. And it wasn't because like it hurt so much. It wasn't because I couldn't run anymore, but I knew that that wasn't going to get worse. And I think that's because I've heard you speak about like the candle, and I knew that like, I knew I'm going to plateau at some point, but I'm not going to have a rapid decline unless like you pick up an injury or something crazy happens. But I know that there's a point where you can hit and you can probably sustain it for such a long time. And I've heard you speak about the pain barrier. And even when I was training or just thinking about the event going into it, I knew at the fact that I wasn't going to burn from the top of the candle to the bottom. Like, I'm going to hit halfway and I'm going to sustain it. So when I was at 30 hours, I wasn't worried is it going to be really bad at 60? I just was like, it's still going to suck like this at 60. But then you have good loops and you come back up and you're like, we're on, we're going again. And then sometimes you get back to that stage, but I don't think it ever got really bad,
Did,
worse.
did you use that as motivation to keep going, knowing that you'd ran for say 35 hours and then you were having a low point, and then 2 hours later you picked up you've only run one loop, and then maybe you drop off again? Do you use that as motivation to know that if you're patient, that it'll pick up again?
Yeah. I think a couple times throughout the race, especially when it's dark and the sunrise is coming. So you know that the sunrise is going to bring you a different attitude, for me anyway. So I used that. And then there was a couple times where I just fed off other people's energy, and I'd come back to the crew and I'd be like, yeah, we're locking in. And the crew would be like, that's it. Let's lock in together. And then 5 hours later, you're miserable, but you've made the decision. You're going through another night and there's nothing stopping you.
So you were crewed up, or you were in the same area as your best mate, I hear. How was that? Did that, him pushing his limit, Dad's told me before that when he sees me push my limit and I'm completely done in the backyard ultra, this is when we were running backyards at the same time, he's like, there is absolutely no way I'm dropping out. For you, when you saw your best mate absolutely drain the well, did that spur you on?
Yeah, I don't know, you filmed the part where he was vomiting. So he was cooked. Noah, shout out Noah, man. And I was fully he's done. He's DNFing. I wasn't even going to push him anymore. I was like, this is not safe. He was cooked. He went out the back, had 30 seconds to do another vomit and get back in the corral, and he did. And the next loop, he turned it around, and I was gobsmacked. I said, I don't know how you did that. So we pretty much ran the next loop pretty slow together, and that actually freshened him up. And he ended up running 9 or 10 more yards after that moment. And then at the end, he was cooked as well. So mind you, he hadn't trained for the event. He was doing 30-kilometer weeks because of some stuff that happened. And he ended up, and his longest run ever was 80 Ks. So he ended up doing 27 yards, whatever that ends up being.
Almost 200 kilometers.
Yeah. He ran just over, and then his watch died as well. So he's running yards without watches. And then I remember when he finished, he timed out, but our corral had already left. And I turned around and I'd seen him, and the whole group had run off. There's probably still 50, 60 people in by this point. And I turned around and I saw him hugging his dad at the start line, and I sprinted back, and everyone's yelling at me don't grab anything, don't have anything. And he was in front of the corral, so I didn't go back in. And I just grabbed him on the shoulder, turned around, gave him the biggest hug ever. And then his dad was get out there and finish the loop. And I remember running away from him just thinking I'm going to fucking win this thing.
That's so cool.
That is very
How
cool.
cool is that?
I haven't told him that, actually. He'll hear that on this. He'll love that.
Did you think that running through 3 nights, did you think that it was going to be as hard as it was?
I thought it'd be physically harder than it was, but it was I went through lows that I don't think I've been through in so many years. It was very mentally challenging, and mentally challenging in ways that I didn't know it would be. Not I can't do this anymore, but it was just this sucks so much. And it was like that during night 2. And if you told me during night 2 that you were going to do night 3, I would have said no way. There's a video of Izzy filming me, and I'm giving her my raw emotions. Tell me how you're feeling. I'm this sucks. I hate this. This is not for me. I'll go home. I'll never do another one. I won't regret pulling out. And then she goes, well, it's your first one. She's I said to her, do you want to be here for another 40 hours? And she goes, no. And I said, yeah, good. Neither do I. And then she's like, well, it's your first one. Like, you're doing really well. And I said, yeah, it'll be my fucking last one. And like, you saw me in the show. I was in a shocking mood.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty happy person. So I haven't been in that kind of mood in a very long time. And I remember I left the corral a couple times, and Adrian, who was crewing us as well, was like, yeah, we need to do this to turn him around. And Izzy just said to him, I've never seen Brady like this. Like, this is a different side.
What sucked so bad?
I don't even know how to explain it. I kept saying I was bored. And I'm not even kidding you. I think I was boring myself to death. I think like it was so cool to run out there with Noah. And when your best mate drops out and you go into the night by yourself, it really felt like something was missing out there. So then I spent like the next 7-8 hours by myself with the head torch on in my own head. And I was just so sick of running the exact same loop over and over. And I think I was just like so happy probably for the first 28, 30 hours that when I got to the 35th or whatever, I just needed to complain. And that's what I just needed to complain. I needed to let go. I needed to talk about how much it sucked. And the funny thing is when I did that and the sun rose, my body freed up. And because I was like, I don't care about this anymore. And it actually meant I was running quicker loops easier. And I felt a lot smoother in my running style because I took the stress out of being like, you need to be on every loop to being like, I don't care about this anymore.
I felt like there was a massive shift at one point. I spoke to you before the event and Izzy as well, and she was super nervous going in, and even on the earlier loops, she was super nervous as well. But I seen a shift in her at one point, and I think that it shifted you as well. Like she went from like, man, this is really hard. I'm struggling, sleep and all that kind of stuff to she switched to we're doing this. And then as soon as she switched, we're doing this, you switched to we're doing this together.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to actually see that shift in her where she went from, I'm not really sure what I'm doing crewing to I've got your back. I've got everything organized for you. And then when that happened, you were coming in, you were sending in menus of what you wanted. She was like, yep, we've got this. And it was like, almost night and day between day one and then day two. And she had you covered. And obviously with Noah and Adrian as well, they were helping her out to get to sleep and things like that. And your crew it's so funny because I watched you go from 0 to 68. And then I went and watched them go from, we've got no idea what does he need to we know exactly what he needs every single loop.
Yeah.
Did you feel that shift when you came in and like around that? I reckon it was around that 30 when you said that you were bored, that you were kind of over it. Did you feel that shift around that time?
They turned it on for sure. So I think it also helped that like at this Noah and I shared a gazebo. So it was very full on for when we were both running. And then I just said, like, I need my bed somewhere else to sleep. I can't sleep in that gazebo because it was right next to the speaker. And so once we got, like, things sorted, there was a shift where I was saying, like, I'm so bored, all this stuff. And then they knew, like, we need to do something to get Brady over the line. And then when the sunrise came around and they had this conversation back at camp. They said, all right, we need to see what Brady's doing now because if he's going to give up at 3 a.m. because he's bored, like we're not going to continue because we're not going to pack the stuff up at 3 a.m. So we need to check what the vibes are. And I think I came in with like a little bit more of a vibe that run, feeling a little bit better. And they're like, oh, you're smiling and all this stuff. Like, are we locking in? And this would have been probably like 10 a.m. on day 2 or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to lock in. And then all of them at once just went, we're locking the fuck in. Like night 3 is on and we've just made the call at 10 a.m. And then, yeah, they were just onto it.
What is it that your crew did for you that many crews in the world are not?
Oh, I don't know if I could tell you because I've never been to a backyard ultra before.
But like for you, what was really impactful that they did for you?
The main thing from my crew was that my why to not quit was always because of them. So I didn't want to let them down and I didn't want to let Tim down. So I just kept going. Like no matter what, I just kept going. And then I remember there was one point where I was like bawling my eyes out on course, and I'm like, this is it. I'm calling it. I'm sitting everyone down and I'm going to call it. And then I came in and Noah and Izzy were like writing messages on the board, like screaming at me as I was running through the corral, like, you're breaking records. Like, you have no idea what you're doing. And when I'm like, I couldn't care less that I was breaking records, but I cared that they cared. So I was like, I can't give up because of how invested they are. So it was never about like, since lap 30, it was never about me. It was making sure that I did right by them.
I think Dad can speak to that a little bit as well with how you get motivated. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's a really tricky thing with a lot of these backyard ultras is that your crew doesn't know how to motivate their runners.
Yeah.
And I think that was a tricky thing with you because it's like Izzy was like, oh, I don't know whether or not to like tough love or just to rile you up. But I feel like that relationship just grew a lot.
Yeah.
And I think Dad can speak to that a lot because we have had a lot of conversations about how Dad likes to be motivated. And I think that they might have found something different in you and what you value a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it went pretty deep. Like, I mean, obviously, the deeper you go, the more emotional it gets, and the closer the relationship becomes as well. And often, I find in backyards, you yearn for that crew person. So you come back and you're looking at them, and you almost want to say to them, "Have you got me? Like, have you've got like have you?" So, like, what were the things that were going on behind the scenes that many people might not have seen? What was Izzy doing? What was Noah doing? What was Adrian doing that a lot of people weren't seeing?
Yeah. Well, like the funny thing is, like, the plan was easy to just crew me. We didn't have backups. Like, we had you there to step in for a couple hours, but it was never Noah or Adrian's plan to crew me. Like, we just happened to get to whenever Noah dropped out, 27 yards, and then Adrian, who I'd met at the event, by the way, was just like, you know what, I'm going to put my life on hold for another couple days so that this guy can run the same loop every hour. So they all played like a really significant role. Izzy was onto everything from food to what I was eating. She tried to do everything for me, and bless her. Like, she tried to take my shoes off and put my shoes on. As much as I'd say I need to put my own shoes on because like you'd hit a toe and I'd be like, oh, there's so much pain. She would do anything for me. And then Adrian is just like, he's got my foot up right next to his face and he's like massaging my calves. And the smell of my feet was some of the worst smells any of us have ever smelled. And Adrian was just happy to have it next to his face while he massaged. And I'm like, dude, you're a legend. And then Noah has just run 27 yards and he's like limping around like I am right now. And he slept for like 3 hours in a chair. Mind you, when Noah DNF'd, he went for a sleep for like 2 or 3 hours in the chair. And then Adrian slept on the ground for like 2 or 3 hours. And then both of them woke up and crewed me. So then Noah's like limping around. I think it was very crucial that he was there for Izzy because you see some of the behind the scenes videos and Izzy was telling me, she's like, me and Noah had so much fun because we were just like talking so much shit. They was both so over it. But it was so important for both of them to have each other to keep their morale up so that when I came in, I didn't have another person that was just being like, fuck this, let's go home.
Yeah, they bounced off each other. I watched it. They bounced off each other really well. And when Izzy wasn't sure about something, she had Noah to ask, and then he would. And I mean, obviously, you know, having you come in and one of them would remember something from a previous loop that worked.
Yeah.
So then they would just, you know, do that. And a lot of the crews that I did see, and I walked around a heap of tents, I found that the people that were solo crewed found it a lot harder. They weren't sure. They were kind of second guessing what they were giving their runner, how to help them, because they're on their own. They're like, well, I don't want to stuff this up. Whereas, you know, Noah and Izzy, I mean, I couldn't believe how well they work together. And I know I seen it at the start, how you're saying that, you know, there was almost little bits of frustration as well, because you kind of, Izzy didn't know what you needed. You didn't know what you wanted. And it was kind of, it ebbed and flowed for the first maybe 24 hours. And then it just completely opened up and you was just both dialed in.
That's another thing I was looking at. I hate. I'm not that I hate it. It's just I think I'm a little bit more experienced with crewing, and it's just like you got to think in a way of what does your runner need without them telling you what they need. They can suggest things, what's
Mm.
going wrong, but you're the solution person. Like you're trying to fix all the problems. And when you were coming in on the first couple laps, like Izzy's asking questions, everyone's asking questions. I'm like, no, you gotta learn that. You gotta learn to know. But like obviously Izzy had no idea,
Mm.
didn't crew you at a backyard ultra previously, but she's just I felt like she just came such a long way. Like,
Yeah.
and I felt like you came such a long way too. Did you get to a point where you felt like you let go in the sense of trying to control everything in the crew area? Because that's something we talk about a lot, and it's super hard because you feel like you're letting go, but you're not.
Yeah.
You're still holding on to that grudge of needing that control.
Yeah, it's almost like you come in and you tell everyone what you need, and you're thinking you're telling them how you're feeling, but you're actually ordering them around.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think like it developed obviously from 0 hours to 68 hours. And at the start, we had like this really good system where I was like, in the first 5 hours, we learned a lot. And the first 5 hours, you were straight into the night as well. So I said, Izzy, every time I leave, you need to text me, like, is it a fast loop or slow loop? What I'm going to eat when I get back, and then anything else I need on that loop. And then I'll text you throughout the loop, like Gooch Goo or Salt Tablet, or if I think of anything that I need. So that system was awesome. And we were just flying through that. But I honestly think I got to like 30 hours and I'm going to say this a lot, like I just stopped caring. Like I could not care. That's when I was just like, I wasn't sending in occasionally I'd send in orders. But yeah, I stopped caring because I was like, I don't care what happens with the race. My job here is just to run, and that's what I was doing. And everything ended up just keep going smoothly on that end of
yeah,
it.
they seem to take over at that point,
Yeah.
and they're like, we've got him now. But there was points that you came in, and it was funny to see there was moments where you were kind of like, oh, I don't really know what I want, what's going on, and then there'd be like hours that you were like so dialed in, and we were just kind of standing and looking at each other, going, all right, yep, we'll just do it. Like we'll just do what he's doing. It was awesome to see.
I wanted
Yeah.
to show you another video of what I thought was really cool right before you started the event and like what you kind of were there for. And yeah, I'll just show you because I
Yeah.
want to get the reaction. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they were elite. Izzy and them, they were elite by the
Yeah.
end.
They went through just as much hell as I did.
And couldn't complain about it.
I never grew up a confident kid, and for kids out there who are like going through something like, for kids who are out there that are insecure, in school they don't teach you how to be confident, they don't teach you how to be creative. It's all about memorizing and fitting into their system and finding out where you fit. When I left school and I started doing these things a bit later in life, that's where I built my confidence. And I've learned in the past couple years, if you don't go out with the most confidence in yourself ever, you're not going to achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Do you have more confidence now after doing that? Like, I feel like because that was sort of something you were representing, like
Yeah.
trying to really show kids how to be confident and believe in yourself.
Yeah. I reckon I could break 100 hours at Sat Champs. So yeah, I do for sure. I did before this event. I wouldn't have thought that, but now I think I could. Yeah. If that answers your question, then
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Like, say, I mean, we've spoken about this so much, and I think I've said it to you. I haven't really said it to too many other people, but I tend to get something from every one of our guests every time we have someone on. And the one thing that I got from you was actually that self-confidence at the start of the year when we had you on the first time. And it's funny, I felt like I spoke things into existence. And is that like one of those things that now you find that it's almost like your superpower by just, if you say it, that it's just going to happen?
Yeah, 100%. And other people are just too scared to say it. And I was scared to say that because I'm people like the people who are there who have ran 50, 60 hours before, and they've got this 27-year-old kid who's a road runner, who's a running influencer, who thinks he's here, like big dick. Like I'm like, these guys are going to think I'm a little arrogant kid. But I explained, I said, like, well, I think I've learned that arrogance isn't coming into something and saying like you're going to be the best. It's achieving something and then rubbing it in everyone else's faces. So we have this weird thing in Australia, like the tall poppy syndrome, where you're not meant to say that you're going to go out there and be the best possible. But saying that before I went out there played through my head probably every hour of the 68 hours I was out there. And when I was at an hour 30, I was like, you want to pull out now? And you already said that you want to like go out there and be the best out there and all these things. So yes, it's spoken into existence that it was going to happen. But part of that speaking it into existence is the fact that I've told other people, and I don't want to look like a liar. I want to be a man of my word. So it's an extra hand forcing you to do the thing that you say you're going to do.
So do you feel like it just keeps you even more accountable?
Yeah.
And it makes you, I remember at Sydney, it's funny that you say 30 because I remember at Sydney around that 30-hour mark, I was thinking, why on earth did I convince myself to open my mouth and say, I want to do 100?
Yeah.
But you're constantly thinking, you'll think about it and it gives you more skin in the game as well.
Yeah.
It almost gives you, anytime you want to quit, you say to yourself, well, I can't because I said I wasn't going to do this.
Yeah.
I was going to do this.
And the others don't have that. The others don't have that on their back.
Yeah.
They're like, I want to quit at 40. I never told anyone I was going for 50, so it doesn't matter. I can quit at 40.
Does it feel like there's an extra weight on your back though?
Yeah, 100%.
But is that something you thrive on?
You say it's a weight on your back, but I don't think it's something on your back weighing you down. I think it's pushing you forward. So it might feel like a weight when you're at 30 hours and you said you're going to go to 60 plus, but when you're at 50, it's something pushing you forward.
Do you feel like it's the voice in your head that tells you to keep going is your future self saying to you, come on, mate, we said we're going to so it's your future self that has achieved that thing. Just saying, come on, keep going. We've actually already achieved it because you said you were going to achieve it. We're going to achieve it. So it's like saying, you, come on, keep going, Brady, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think even I said some things in the start of our interview that I was thinking back through the start of the race, or constantly saying to myself, I don't know why I said that. It's not going to happen. And I had those self-doubts throughout the race, but it was still that weight on my back that was pushing me further. And now that I've actually done the thing, or not completely, but I got to a position that I never thought I'd be at before. Yeah, my confidence is so much more again. So now not if I go into another backyard, if I go into anything, why can't I just say I'm going to be the best out there and the new kid on the block can come third? It's insane.
Is there a difference? Do you think that there's a difference from saying something out loud and then doing it and just doing it? Have you ever considered just doing it and not saying anything?
I think some people can just do it. I think the people that just do it are more capable of doing it when they do it. The people that say they're going to do it and then go do it probably weren't in the position that the people were the ones just thinking it or the ones just doing it. So for example, Ben and Doobs could just go out there and do 68, 70 loops, but they wouldn't have to say that they're going to do it. They've got a resume behind them that's built them to that point.
And the position you find yourself in now, are you still going to continue saying things aloud?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's proven to work in every aspect of my life.
That you saying it out loud motivates so many people. But does it drive you forward knowing that? Because I mean, it's easy to motivate others that will follow you along and things like that. But there's a lot of, like you said, tall poppy syndrome in Australia. There's a lot of haters out there as well. Does it motivate you to know that not that you prove them wrong, but that you prove to them that they can actually say things and it can actually happen as well. So there's like a small minority of people
Mm,
obviously trying to tear you down, but you're actually motivating those people
yeah.
because you're giving them the voice. If you don't look at it as they're being negative, you're showing them, hey, look, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
All right. You don't have to be a hater. You can actually be like this. Does it motivate you to know that you're actually changing those people's lives as well?
I hope so. Because it does really frustrate me when someone says they're going to do something a lot, but then never put in the work and then they never do the thing. And you do that back to back, you're proving yourself to just be a liar to yourself. And that kind of like frustrates me, is like it shows who you are as a person. So when I say things out in existence and then I know I don't want to be that type of person, so that's motivating me. And then hopefully other people see that like you genuinely have to go and do the thing. Like you still can't just say it out loud. You have to go and do the thing and be the person. And like we were running around the track and everyone's saying like, what's your goal and this stuff. And I'm running with like the top level runners out there. Mind you, I still have no idea who's who. So we're just like chatting out on course and they're like, oh yeah, so it's your first one. Like, what are you going for? And I say to some people, oh, well, what are you going for? And they'd say 24 or whatever. And they say, oh yeah, what do you go for? And every single person I would laugh and I'd say, I want to be there at the very end. And they'd be like, oh, okay. And they're probably thinking in their head, like, this kid's got no idea. And I did have no idea, but I was willing to tell everyone that I wanted to be there at the end.
Because that's what you want to.
Yeah.
Like, why say something that you don't want? Like, why say something like, oh, I want to get to 48 hours and really deep down, it's not something you want.
You don't have to be embarrassed.
Nah.
You have to be embarrassed that you're saying, hey, look, this is what I'm going to do. And if you don't achieve it, then, well, yeah, like you said.
But, sorry, yeah, because, no,
You go.
oh, okay.
we both go on.
That's the hard thing with like two hosts because you're like trying to say something and
I don't know about two hosts, two Caprazaks in the same room, maybe more so.
Because you can sell yourself short. Like I hate it when people go, like I might ask, like what are you trying to get on a score for like an exam or a test or something like that, and they say something lower than 100, and I think that's just what they think they're worth. When really, why would you not want to get 100? Who doesn't want 100? And it kind of frustrates me a little bit about that because it's like, why are you selling yourself short? Like, I'm not asking you what you think you're gonna get. I'm asking you what you want.
Yeah.
And I don't know why nobody wants 100. No, why nobody wants to be the last person standing.
100%.
Yeah, I think if you think that you're a winner, like, and you really, really believe it, then you find yourself at the pointy end anyway.
Yeah.
But like Brady said, it's like you can believe you're a winner and not shove it in everyone's faces.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's one of those things.
Like you probably weren't going around saying, I'm going to win this thing. Like,
well, people,
look at me.
you weren't starting conversations and telling people this is what I'm going to do. They were asking you, and
yeah, we were talking. But then I'm very conscious about that, where people think, like, I don't want to come across arrogant. Ever want to come across like that. Like at some point I was talking to Ben and Margie and I knew who Margie was, but I didn't want to know who Ben was. And I said there, like, I want to be there at the very end. And I had no idea that like, it was going to be me and Ben there at the end. And then, if I dropped out at like 30 or 40 hours, you probably would have thought that little kid was full of it. But I got to the end and then I've had some amazing messages and talks with Ben. And he said, yeah, from the very start, I knew you were the real deal. Like I knew you were going to be at the pointy end.
yeah, he said it to me as well. I think it was early on that he said it's going to be. He goes, it's going to be me and Brady at the end. And I'm like,
I do remember him saying that.
yeah, I can't remember exactly what loop it was, but yeah.
What is it about you that you think is just outshines a lot of other people in the sport of a backyard ultra? I know I don't want you to talk yourself up, but I think people are interested. What is it what characteristic that you have was able or enabled you to be able to achieve something like this?
Yeah. I just like, I'm not special, like, but I think I am. So that's what makes me special. Like there's two kind of people in the world. There's one that can't, like, there's one person that doesn't believe they can do it. And then there's one person that does believe they can do it, and both of them are completely right. Like it's just a matter of what you believe you can do. And I just tricked myself into believing that I could be at the pointy end, so I was.
I think it comes down to a lot, and I talk about this a lot as well, is that if you treat yourself with a lot of self-respect and you have confidence and you behave in a particular way, people will treat you that way.
Mm,
So if you're going around behaving like a winner, acting like a winner, performing like a winner, people are going to treat you like a winner. So then it just perpetuates itself,
yeah,
doesn't it?
100%. Like the Hardcore Harry's posted a reel today or something, and they called me an elite ultra runner. And I was like, they were comparing me and Alex, and they're like, "Oh, Brady's an elite ultra runner." I said, "Did I just get the elite card?" I'm like, "I'm not an elite ultra runner. I'm like, I'm a random dude
Who just
like
believes?
who just believes." And then they said, "Well, yeah, what you've done on the weekend has made you elite," which quite possibly could be true, but like, I'm just another guy.
All this had to stem from some place, like this belief, this confidence, like it had to start somewhere. And I remember you mentioning on the interview where you weren't a confident kid.
Mm.
What actually happened there? This that switch that led you to who you are now.
I think it's a snowball effect of a lot of things. Like, I reckon I've put myself through a fair bit of hurt and suffering, um, chosen suffering through stuff like this. That's probably led me to believe that I can do things that I never thought possible before. And then I just make a lot of conscious decisions that probably uplift it, like consuming content that actually benefits that kind of thing, like watching YouTube videos around mindset and instead of scrolling in my spare time, journaling, focusing on manifestation, doing things like that. So I think it's like a conscious decision of multiple things that snowballs together. And I also honestly think that like traveling and solo traveling when I was young, from like 18 to 23, 24, I think I learned a lot about myself in that time, which showed me that I wasn't being my true self back in high school because I was always striving to be accepted by others. And then when I traveled and I realized like I can be whoever I want, and then I also don't have to have like these people like me or not for whoever I am, that kind of showed me a lot of pathways to going into other things and being the person that I wanted to be. And that also started the snowball.
Does that give you the confidence to be able to speak whatever you want into the world and say, hey, look, I don't mind if people don't like me for who I am, and I can say, I want to do this, I'm going to do this. Do you reckon that was kind of the shift in that direction to be able to do that? And then it obviously became an athletic thing.
Yeah, I think it still adds to the snowball. So I'll still question it when I do it. I think like I'll still be hesitant of thinking that someone might not like me when I do it. But every time you do it, you just get better at not caring what other people think. And it's like training a muscle in the gym. Every single time you do it, it's less uncomfortable and you get better at it.
How much, speaking about training that muscle, obviously something like a half marathon is a very physical pursuit. How much of a backyard ultra do you think is physical, and how much do you think is mental? Because this is one thing that I get hung up on a
Can you
lot.
give us a percent as well?
Yeah, I get really hung up on this because I think that a lot of people train so hard physically,
Mm,
and you've gone and proven that. Don't get me wrong, you've trained like an animal for a half marathon, but
yeah.
I mean 110K peak week, and obviously you've got endurance in the legs as well. But there are people doing 300K weeks
Yeah.
and not being able to achieve half of what you achieved.
Yeah.
So how much, yeah, in percentage terms, how much do you think is mental and how much do you think is physical in comparison to something like a half marathon or a marathon?
If everyone is at a reasonable physical baseline, 100% mental. Like when you're comparing someone who's probably like 110 kilos compared to someone who's maybe like 65 and one's more athletic than the other, then the person who's probably unfit is probably going to drop out a bit quicker. So that might be like 30 or 40%. But when you're looking at, let's say, the top 100 people of the event in terms of like physical performance, 100% mental, I think.
That's
Because do you think they all have it in them physically?
Well, I just think like you either DNF in the chair, you DNF because you're nauseous or sleep deprived, you DNF because your stomach's going one way or the other, or you DNF because you're injured. And injured, yes, is physical. It's probably like maybe something that's lacking in the gym that you haven't done or you haven't put in a little bit of the work. But also, injury can be like completely out of your hands. Anyone can roll an ankle and have their race gone like that. But in my opinion, to complete a 6.7 kilometer loop on the hour is pretty easy. So at that point, I think it's all mental.
so. So if you say 100% mental, how many people do you reckon actually train their mind?
Yeah, not enough.
But how did you train your mind?
Years of doing hard things.
What were the big hitters?
I didn't have a warm shower for 3 months. My first warm shower was yesterday, I think, or the day before.
Did you have a cold shower after the race?
No, I had a warm bath after the race. The next day I had a warm shower. But yeah, even during the race, when my first showers were booked in, Izzy was boiling water for it, and I said, no, cold shower. I was like, day 2, morning, after the second night will be my first warm shower, but I only end up having a one shower. So I did that consciously going into it, but there's just so many things like falling in love with doing hard things and being like a bit of a sicko around it. Sometimes I just have a random idea and I just be like, go and do it before you speak yourself out of it. So I know when I like started running, I think I brought this up before. I was like, randomly, I just thought I want to run a half marathon before work. And before I could talk, I thought of it at like 6 p.m. So before I could talk myself out of it, set the alarm, went to sleep. Izzy come home from work. I got up at 2 a.m. and she's like, what are you doing? I was like, going for a run. And she's like, it's 2 a.m. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a half marathon. Went to the athletics track, ran a half marathon. And it was just things like, it's just little things like that I think have built myself up into maybe being like hopefully mentally stronger than other people out there.
Yeah, that people might look at that as you went out and just trained the body, but the first thing that you trained when you opened your eyes was the mind.
Yeah.
To do that hard thing.
And the thing is, like, when people see that, a lot of them will just go like, that's dumb. Like that is not that's not helping your body in any way, like doing that. Or like you're taking it too far. Like the amount of times I've heard of you're taking it too far. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I can stay in the loop for 68 hours because I was willing to do that at the start of the day rather than after work.
Did you find you dug during the race and reached into that cookie jar plenty of times, saying to yourself, you did 30 and 30, you've done 100 Ks at UTA. Did you find that you use those as a tool to keep pushing yourself?
I actually can't think of many moments that I did, to be honest. It was such a unique race out there, I think, in my own head. I spent a lot of the time thinking about quitting. A lot of the time. Just didn't.
Can you? I know it's hard because just reflecting. You can take a moment, but just reflecting on the race and what happened last week, yeah, and the lowest point you got to, and I'm really interested to get your take on how, like, what exactly, like, the thought process that you were going through to get out of that situation, because people don't hear enough of how these elites are able to get through these moments because they just think, oh, they're just another person. Like they're on this another level. But you're just like everyone else. And I guess I just wanted to know, and I wanted for you to share to everybody else, what is it that you're doing in those moments that help you and aid you to get out of the moment?
I'll bring up 3 situations in the race. So the first one was around like 33 hours or whatever, and I was over it. I was like, I'll go home, I'll quit, I'll never do another one, I don't care at all. And I looked at Izzy and I said, if the sun doesn't change in anything, we're just going home. And she said, yeah. So the first one was just nothing pulled me out of that. I'm just willing to put up with suck for as long as it takes to see if something changes. So was willing to run through the night to see if the sun changed anything. And it did. So I now know that going into any day in a backyard ultra, that if I'm feeling any way during the night, if I can just get through to the sunlight hours, something might change. And there was another moment where I had stomach issues 3 loops in a row. I was delirious. I'd been thinking about quitting for like 20 hours. And I left the corral at the start of the loop and I went to the toilet straight away at the start and I had another issue with my gut. So 4 loops in a row. I'm sitting on the toilet and things are moving around because vision's all funny. And I just thought, I'm done. Like I'd spent probably 6 or 7 minutes in that toilet and was 100 meters from the corral. And I said, I'm done. So I just shuffled my way down the course. And I thought, I'm just going to time out this one, getting ready to pull the phone out to tell Izzy. And I saw Ben there and Ben was coming out of another toilet. And I thought, geez, he's a bit far behind his usual time. And I said to him, like, geez, you're going to have to run pretty quick to finish this loop, aren't you? And he goes, no, we'll be right. He looks at his watch. He's like, we'll be fine. And then he's like, oh, you know that he must have seen something in me. He said, you know, if you complete this loop and then the next loop, you're on Team Australia. And I said, no, I didn't know that. And he goes, oh, I can't. I said, I'm about to quit. I was like, I'm about to throw the towel in. And my legs were all seized up because I'd made that decision. And he goes, nah, I can't let you quit knowing that. So not knowing that. So Ben and I ran the whole entire loop together. It was one of the best feeling loops of the whole race. And my body freed up, the adrenaline took over, and Ben just pulled me out of this hole. We ended up running a 49-minute loop and had 11 minutes spare. And I was like, where did that go? So that was the second time. That was the biggest hole of the race. And the way I got out of that was pulled out of by Ben. But it was also because I was willing to just put it up with more suck and continue on the race. Because when I left the toilet, I could have just stayed there, but I left and I continued on and got to the next toilet. And then the last one was like 3 or 4 loops before I'd quit and everything had come flooding in. I'd spent the whole loop bawling my eyes out and I was just crying. I was so done. I couldn't change my emotion. I couldn't change the way I felt. I was just crying. Everything come flooded in and I was thinking about how I was going to sit you guys down and the crew about how I was done. And I come in and Izzy and Noah were going off their head and I'm bawling my eyes out and they don't even ask me what's wrong. We get into the corral. I sit in the chair. I don't have the guts to tell them I want to quit. Adrian puts me back, starts wiping my face. He goes, is anything hurting? I said, nah. He's just like playing, like warming up my knees and stuff. And I just didn't have the guts to tell anyone that I was willing to quit. And I saw how much it meant to Noah, to Adrian, to Izzy that I was still in this race. So I got back out there and I ran like 3 more loops. So that was the third one. And once again, I was just willing to put up with suck, but that one was because I didn't want to do it for myself. I wanted to do it for others.
Yeah, I watched Izzy a few times towards the end there where she was in disbelief. She's like, I can't believe what he's doing. I can't this guy, this kid. Like she was so proud of you, and that's probably what you felt like. You come in and you could see that they were so proud of you. They were riding on your shoulders as well.
Yeah.
You were like their F1 car. They were fueling you up, changing the tires every time, and off you'd go.
Yeah,
it was just it was pretty cool. I want to ask you, at what point did you feel like you were in contention? Was there, obviously you had your boredom laps, you came in, you were obviously tired, you were fatigued, but people started dropping. At what point did you feel like, oh, hang on, I might be a chance here?
Loop 1.
I knew he was going to say it. I knew he was going to say it. I was looking at the question. I'm like, he's going to say loop 1.
That feeling didn't change from loop 1 until the end. If anything, I felt more out of it at the end because I could see I knew I had consecutive laps where obviously Doobs was just like he was putting up 42s and 43s near the end, I think.
He was definitely putting the hammer
Yeah,
down.
if it was
Yeah.
43s at the end.
Yeah. So if anything, and like that could be mind games, but even if I wanted to put down a couple 43s to play the mind games back, I don't think I was capable of it at that point. So I saw how smoothly Ben and Doobs were coming in, and even like Ross. I didn't think I'd like get Ross in the end, but it was really cool to be in the top 3, like really cool. But at that point, I probably didn't believe in myself that I was going to win it. From the start, I would have probably believed myself more, and that's a funny thing to think about, to be honest.
And what are you now finding yourself in that top 3 position, and then going into maybe another backyard ultras, hopefully sat champs? And if you are in that top 3 situation again, what's something that you would change so that you do believe in yourself?
Well, I've just been there before now, so I think I'd believe in myself either way. And I know like it's funny to think the way that I think, and I'm not sure if people understand how I think. Because I genuinely think a lot of things there. Now that I've been there and I can prep properly, because more of my preparation was in the 6 days between Ballarat and this backyard. Like I was calling you like, do I need this? Do I need this? This time I would have like an elite setup. Obviously wouldn't be sharing a gazebo. I would do simulations. I'd be onto it.
You wouldn't change something though?
Yeah, there'd be a lot of things I would change. But I reckon going into it, I could be up there with Phil and go as long as he can. And I understand the difference between, I've never seen Phil race. I've listened to a lot of his podcasts and stuff. I understand the difference between us two is a lot of things, but the main thing I see is that his ability to switch off emotions compared to mine is not there. So if I was to hold that position and go to SAT champs, well, it should speak it into existence. I'm going to hold that position and go to SAT champs. I'll go all in mindset coach. I'll learn how to switch off the feelings. I'll do everything that I can, because that's the fault I had at probably 30 laps onwards. That's the thing that probably wore me down a bit.
Was it the emotions?
I think so. Like if you can just turn into a robot and not care if it's boring or not, then you could probably get further.
I think the key thing with Phil is it's not so much switching off the emotions. I think it's he doesn't see them that they do not contribute in a positive way to his outcome. So he's that dialed in that he'll say, I actually don't need to be emotional. I don't need to feel this. I don't need to. So he turns them all off in terms of, they're not, I don't need them. So there are obviously some emotions that he will have, but often it's the ones that he knows how to turn off. And that's very hard to do. Especially like for me personally, like I look at the way I race, I like to laugh with people. I like to chat. I like to do all those things. What's that?
So do I.
Because there is a lot
and you can't turn that off.
Yeah.
I think you wouldn't want to turn that off. But then that's the thing, that it's such a hard thing because you let other people's energy in, and then it triggers things that you might in your mind. So it is a real tricky one.
No, it's fine. It's a fine line, because I know some people can be too dialed in. It's fine to, and you were the perfect example. Like I feel like you're the prodigy of backyard ultras right now. Like I was just so mind blown. Like when I was sending you voicemails in the morning, I'm just like, holy shit, he's still in this game. Like I completely have so much belief, and I'm actually like just so excited. And I was just so happy for you. Like it was just incredible to watch. And yeah, I'm just so excited to see what actually is to come for you.
So am I.
At that 68 yard mark, what was it that got you in the end?
I think it was a built up emotions, because I was done at like 64 when I was like bawling my eyes coming in, and then Izzy and Noah were just like getting around me so hard, everyone bringing in, and then they got Phil on the phone, and I was like, well, I can't quit now. And there was just one thing after another that kept me in it. And I think 68, I have this funny thing that I learned during the event is I think everyone thinks they can't run. And if you convince yourself you can run, you can run. So there'd be times I'm like plodding along and I'd be like, oh, it's so hard. I can only shuffle at this speed. And then I'd be like, why do you think that? So then I'd switch my mindset and I'd start running 5:45s. And they're like, see, you can run. You're just convincing yourself that you can't. But then it got to a point where I was doing that. And the longer I would spend at like a 6-minute pace, which was quick at that point, I would then have to walk and I genuinely felt fatigued. So I'd shuffle along and I'd be like, you can run. So then I'd start running and then I'd felt more fatigued and then I have to walk a lot more. So that was slow. That needle was slowly getting pushed more and more and more and more. But I was over it mentally, so over it mentally. And then we left that loop. I knew I'd beaten Courtney DeWalter's debut, and I was like, I couldn't see myself getting into the high 70s or low 70s or another night. And I'd thought that previous days, but this time I just couldn't get that next switch or hang on to that next loop that's going to bring me back into it. Like I was slowly getting slower and slower. And I just saw like, I'm not going to beat Doobs. I knew that from what I'd seen, how he was running. And we got to the walk bridge. And I think I like made the decision. As soon as I made the decision, my legs flooded with fluid. My feet blew up. I could barely walk on my feet. My shoes were so tight. And I got across the bridge and tried to jog and I just couldn't. My legs had made the decision. And you might say that's physical. And I said like everything is mental, but I believe it was a mental decision that caused it. And I believe that there would somewhere along the line, there's probably a 0.01 or probably a 1% chance somewhere along there that I could have brought myself back into the race, but I couldn't find it.
From what you said there, I could pick out maybe 2 things that you can improve on. Do you reckon?
Yeah, well, coming from the
Yeah, here
under
we go.
18 world record holder, so
No, I think that these 2 things will be the biggest game changer for you. Is that and obviously it's so hard to overcome when you're in that emotional state. But one is to not think ahead, because you never know what mindset you'll be in when you're at that third night.
Yeah.
So like it sounds so simple, but that's why Phil says it's like one lap at a time. So when you got to that point where you're like at 68 hours, like I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to beat dudes. And that's another thing. Can't look at other people.
Yeah.
I've seen dudes blow up before. You just never know what happens. He could roll his ankle.
Yeah, I do know that.
on that third night, Ross McLean, I was looking at him and I'm thinking, man, this guy is so dialed in. I went to bed for 3 hours. I woke up, Ross had dropped.
Yeah.
Because his knee blew up. But yeah, that's one big thing. Yeah, you can't look at it. But it's so hard to do.
I learned that along the journey for sure, because I felt like that's why I was being very miserable in the middle section, is because I was comparing myself, because I wasn't getting as much sleep to everyone else. And I said that to you. I'm like, I know I shouldn't be, but I'm comparing myself. And it took me a long time to realize that like, it's not a race. And I've come from obviously a racing background. I said, it literally makes no difference if Doobs runs a 45 and you run a 55, you both tick it off. Like it doesn't matter.
And you both start at the same.
Yeah. And I was genuinely one loop at a time, waiting for that attitude to change. And it just didn't for so long. And it wasn't even like I don't want to do a 4th night, because I didn't get to like the triple miler. Because even if it was like that, I probably would have just gone to the triple miler. But it wasn't that at all. I was going one at a time, and that one was just it. And when my mind made that decision, legs flooded with fluid, I couldn't run anymore.
And I completely understand, because we had a conversation the other week about like that point where you let go, and whether or not that's you physically letting go or that's you mentally letting go. And it's all the mental, it's all the stress. And it's
It opens the floodgates.
yeah, so I mean, because
Yeah, the
I
floodgate
just
well and truly opened.
Yeah, and there's no. It's like you push. It's like you've broken a damn wall and you're trying to push all the water back up.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Frank the Tank. He's a Belgian runner, and he describes it beautifully in regards to that, where you're running and you can move and everything's all right, and the 1 second after you quit, you can't even walk.
Yeah.
And it's like bang, everything is just the floodgates have opened
100%.
and it's all over.
and that's such a I find it a weird concept to wrap my head around because you're still stopping in the backyard ultra, but it's like
they don't
that
open.
part of you,
Yeah.
part of you just knows that I'm going out
Yeah,
there
yeah.
again.
It peeks through the door and says, "He's done. Well,
Right.
here we come. Everyone come in."
But it's like what is it that when you quit, it's like it's a signal for you to everything's sore now.
I have a
'Cause
funny
Why
feeling-
is it that because that was like that at the end of Sydney's like powerhousing through the last lap, and then he's like an old man when he finishes. It's why is that?
Mm.
well, it's
Like we
'cause-
do say the floodgates open,
Well,
but what
there's
is that?
Well, there's a like your cortisol levels will
Yeah.
change, your adrenaline will drop, all those things. And I mean, the perfect example of that happening is when you're like at the Hardcore Harry Challenge for me, it was like everything was great. I could do it. As soon as I stopped, my body just crashed. The central nervous system went to crap.
Mm.
Right. And the same thing would be happening to you now. It's like you've been up, and now your central nervous system's just like, oh man, I can't handle this. It's just the floodgates have just opened. And
How are you taking the aftermath of the race? Like, is it sad? Are you getting the blues that you've had such a good time, or how are you handling it?
It's funny because like I never realized during it what I was doing and realized like how successful I was being out there on track. Because to me, I'm at war and it's hell and I hate it. And to everyone else on the outside, it's like Brady's a fucking beast. Look at this guy, best Australian debut ever. Like about taking down some of the best guys on the list of this race and all this stuff. But to me, I'm just like, this sucks so much. So when I came out of it and I got a chance to like go and see how everyone else was feeling about it, it was like kind of surreal. So like there's thousands of messages in my inbox. And bless everyone that sent me a message, like super grateful for that. And I obviously can't get back to over 1,000 messages. But with the help of all the guys who yourself and Magic and that who caught all these awesome clips, Izzy and I are just like laying in the bed, like crying for ages, just like rewatching these clips of these amazing moments that held so much emotion, because what you want to do is just live in that moment for as long as possible. So it was like an extremely emotional time after it. And now it's kind of just like battling some swollen legs. And at some point I'll have to go back to normal life. Like Izzy went back to work this morning and she was like, I just have to go back to normal life. Like we went and did this thing for 4 days, 3 days straight. And like it sucked, but also it was amazing. Life goes on.
what were your thoughts on the Backyard Ultra community? And like, I mean, obviously you and Izzy would have spoken about it after the race. What were your thoughts in comparison to other, running communities and stuff like that? Because it's a very niche community, the Backyard Ultra community, but I think that they're pretty supportive of people coming into it. And I mean, you've just come in, said that you're going to do something, done it, and when everyone's like, "Yep, he's one of us."
Yeah. I was very worried because I said I was going to do something and everyone was going to look at me like, who's this road running influencer kid on the block? Who does he think he is? But it was not that at all. And it was unreal just running around with everyone and chatting to them. And every now and then someone would turn to me and be like, oh, I know who you are. Like, I actually really like the stuff that you do online and how authentic you are and like all this stuff. I didn't realize you were going to be here. And I was more intimidated in the fact that I was probably coming into a bit of a different environment that I'm used to, and I wasn't one of the clique. But when you get there and you realize that like there's no clique, everyone is a part of that community. Like everyone there is a part of trying to push everyone further, to be better people, to be better runners, to get around each other, to help each other out. And that was incredible.
I wanted to move a little bit beyond a little bit of the mental, physical side of the philosophical side of things and get down to a little bit more practical side of your whole race. And that involves like your marquee, the crew, the food, everything. Can you give us a layout of how everything was sort of set up, how food was working, how the laps were working, whether or not you had a system going on? Like, what was that all about?
Yeah. So we had the first mistake we probably had was two people competing in one marquee. So it was a bit more congested. But yeah, we had the A4 plan, A3 plan from yourself, which helped out a lot. And I just incorporated all my own food in, and then had like the food bucket. We had a clothes bucket, and all my clothes were in different Coles bags labeled, which would be much more organized for next time. Um, and then the shoe hanging rack with everything in it that we needed, loop to loop, and our layback chairs, which mine was from Kmart, $50, and was fucking terrible. So would never use that again.
How was your headlamp from Kmart?
Headlamp was from Amazon.
Oh, Amazon.
Yeah, headlamp was good. So yeah, we're just like, the crew would make a carbon electrolyte mix, put in a bottle for me to take out every loop. And we had the in and out box so that I would throw everything in there, and then on the way out I could get the things that I needed. Is when I was coming into my loop, I knew what I was going to be eating from the text message from Izzy. So I'd just sit down, they'd just hand it to me, I'd eat it, and then I'd grab the flask soft flask and head out on the loop. And it really wasn't that complicated. When it come to nighttime, I tend, especially the second and third nights, I tend to say like, I'll eat something that I can take with me on the loop so I can have more time sleeping, like baby food or like coconut yogurt. What else did I take on the loop? Sometimes I just take lollies out on the loop with my carb mix as well. And then we'd come in. I had a stretcher bed for sleep with like a blanket, and my eye mask and earphones would sit there. So I'd just walk in, take my shoes off straight away, eye mask on, earphones in, white noise, sleep, get up, and then they just hand me anything that I needed to go out into the corral with. But for the setup, like pretty simple and basic in terms of that. There's a lot of stuff we'll keep because it obviously worked well, got 6 to 8 hours, and then a lot of stuff that we'll work on as well.
And what maybe give us two things that you'd work on really specifically to help you get that total higher?
Like, for one, have my own gazebo and then own sleeping spot. So, and probably set up a better bed. So we were just like, at some points, I was literally just like sleeping outside because we'll just find new spots to put the stretcher bed because of the music. So better bed, better chair, and better setup for the gazebo. That's kind of like all in one. And for the next time, I'll have 2 running belts because I just had one. And then it's not a big deal, but we spent probably 10, 20 seconds each time taking a bottle out and putting a bottle in. Be so much easier, especially because it was a $6 belt from Kmart, because that's what my soft flask was in. Just unclip the whole thing, put it in there, and then already would have a soft flask in a belt ready for me to take out on the next one. And probably like charge 4 or 5 headlamps because I did 2 or 3 night loops without a headlamp.
Yeah.
Just ran with my phone torch.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass. How did you go with shoes?
Shoes, I took 10, I think, resulted on 3, which was that I was happy with. Asics Nova Blast, Asics Super Blast 3, and the Puma Mag Max. So going into the next one, I know like a combination of shoes that do similar things to those that I would take. So the rotation would still sit at probably 8. I'd be elastic laces in all of them from the start and heel wedges in all of them from the start. because as you would know, when I wanted to change my shoes, I was putting heel lifts in them that had to be taped down because I had Achilles issues this year. So I was just taking pressure off the Achilles and calves. And I'd like to think I'd pick up maybe 2 or 3 different pairs of orthotics between now and then because I was rotating 1 pair of orthotics and 2 pairs of heel lifts into all these shoes. And it wasn't until like 30 or 40 hours where I said to the crew, all right, put elastic laces in these few pairs of shoes, which that was a game changer.
And sleep is a big game changer in backyard ultras. And I heard you probably didn't get as much sleep as what you might have wanted to. But is that something you're considering going into the next backyard ultra to really improve your game on? And how are you going to do that?
I think I got really worried in that first night that I wasn't sleeping as well. And we just didn't really know what we were doing. So going into the next one, I think that I'd be able to sleep on the first night, especially because in our one just gone, we started at 4 p.m. Not that I know what time Sat Champs will start at.
It's even worse.
Is
7.
it? 7 p.m.
It's 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
Oh, yeah, because it's Sydney
11
now.
o'clock at night, mate.
Who gets like a 7 a.m. start or something?
America.
USA.
It just gives us the extra edge, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know how bad it
well,
is,
the first year I did it, it was 11 p.m. and it was just so weird. Everyone taking off loop 1 at 11 p.m. and then the second time we were in Perth, so it was at 8 p.m. So,
But even
which was still-
milestones is weird at like 11 o'clock at night.
I mean, we ran through four full nights at Sat Champs in WA, and I'm like, oh my god, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But it is good to get a night out of the way if you can shift your sleeping
Honestly.
patterns a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's just to give yourself a good opportunity to get some extra rest. But I mean, you're amped. You're representing.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, go on.
No, you're right. I think it's one of those other things that, like, if you convince yourself you can do it, you can do it. So, like, sleep is definitely something I'd want to improve on for the next one, because it didn't go too well on this one, and that's just because we're learning on the fly. And I knew that was going to happen. That was one of the things that we weren't too sure about. But as everything else, if you believe you can do it, you can do it. So I believe I can get more sleep.
How'd you go with caffeine? Because a lot of people always ask about, caffeine plans and things like that. I noticed that you didn't take caffeine until really late into the event.
Yeah. So the first night I didn't at all. I think I took caffeine at like 6 a.m. on the second day.
Yep.
Just before the sun rose. And then from then on out, I was taking it every few hours. So just no dose. Didn't flirt with coffee because of my stomach. And then actually I had some caffeine gum as well on one loop, but I was kind of like, I don't really like it that much. And then sometimes I would like bite a no dose in half and have half of it if it was like during the night. And then other times I just take a full no dose.
But yeah, you don't really notice that it doesn't really have, the caffeine doesn't have as big an effect as what some people might think. You still sleep, don't you?
Yeah, you fall asleep for sure.
But like, if you don't take it and you run in a backyard ultra, this is me asking a question, but if you don't take it and you run in the backyard ultra, does that feel worse than taking it and running in the backyard ultra? Like, is there a significant difference in mood and
I think caffeine has a effect on you where it reduces perceived effort. There's been actual studies, and there's actually been a lot of backlash in parents. I read an article about parents at swimming carnivals giving their young kids caffeine for performance enhancement, and it's actually they actually looked at caffeine during events. WADA looked into it as making it a banned substance as well.
recently?
Yeah. I was
Do you reckon
reading
they
some-
will?
It's a real tricky one. I don't reckon that they will, but
I
they
don't think
were
you
heavily
can.
investigating it.
Yeah.
Like during events. I mean, obviously it's going to be a scale of how much caffeine is in your system and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah.
it's not. But yeah, I mean, sleep is a game changer.
For sure.
And I mean, you would have seen Doobs getting a lot of it, and your decision making is elite when you get a lot more sleep. Did you
Yeah.
find that when you started getting better sleep, you started to be a little bit more switched on?
It's hard to say because I was just the reason I was getting more sleep was because I was just so much more tired. So I was so much more tired, probably not making better decisions. And I think that's where the mental fatigue comes in. Like you don't have the willpower to not quit because you're so tired. And I think that's where it comes in. Like I notice that in my everyday life when I'm having a sleep deprived week from just waking up early and I'm in the gym, I'll consciously be like, can't be bothered doing the next set or the next rep. Then you take that and you got to be running the same loop every hour for 6 to 8 hours straight or whatever it is. And you don't sleep for 3 days. We get 5-10 minute micro sleeps. That's the hardest part to like fight the willpower. And I didn't really find that changed too much with me throughout the event. But I know going into the next one, if I worked on sleep, then it would.
You mentioned before you got really emotional, and I feel like a lot of people listening to this podcast right now want to know what you got emotional about. What like on hour 64, hour 68, what was the floodgates of emotions for? What were you really emotional
If you don't
about?
mind us
Yeah.
asking.
No, completely fine. I wanted to quit for so long, and I said it before. The reason I didn't quit was because I saw how much it cared, like how much Izzy cared, how much Noah cared, how much Adrian cared, how much Tim cared, and I knew that no matter what, Tim and Adrian would not let me quit, and that's what they were there for, and I would be forever grateful for that. But I just played it over and over in my head so many times how I was going to tell you guys that I was done. And at some point, it just got too much. And I could see myself sitting you guys down in the gazebo and telling you that, like, I know you want me to go further. And I'm not quitting because it hurts physically or because I can't make the time. I'm just so over this and I was done with this so long ago. But the only reason I keep running is because I want to make you guys proud and I don't want to let you guys down. And the thought of that destroyed me because I knew that was the reason I was quitting because the race was not about me for so long because I would have quit so long ago, but it was about making you guys proud. And I could not bring myself to tell you guys that.
We were proud, mate.
And
We were super proud.
I know that, but it was like, it just, it just lingers there. And you're like, I know how proud they are, but we all have that mindset that you just, no matter what, you got to keep going. And that's what the backyard was about. So when I pictured that moment of telling you guys that I was done, I got extremely emotional and like just cried the whole loop. And then I saw how dedicated Izzy was at the end of that loop, and I went out for another one, and then went out for another one.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
To do it for those guys. My next question was gonna be Izzy, Noah, and Adrian. You know, they gave up 4 days. How do you process that? But I mean, obviously that's what you did. You at the end you just stayed in it because you wanted them to be proud of you and wanted them to feel like you didn't quit on them. Their sacrifice wasn't didn't go to waste.
Like they're giving up their life for you to run in the same loop for an hour every hour. Like when you genuinely think about that concept, you're like, this is the dumbest thing in the world. But because they care for you so much, they're willing to do that. So I have to be willing to keep going.
Do you think ultra running is special in that way, where it's such a mental and like such a deep journey that you almost the people at a backyard ultra, your friends and family that are there for you, they almost hold that space for you to go and explore that, take that inner journey
Mm,
on your own, and you go and do it, but they're there to keep you safe.
yeah, for sure. And it's funny because, like, obviously, I'm taking the journey out on the course by myself. So they're holding the fort so that I can go do that. But when it comes to the victory line, never once when I've had one of these moments have I felt like it's that victory is mine. I've always felt like it's been mine and Izzy's. Um, and it's hard because obviously I get a lot of the flowers for it. She got a lot of flowers this time, so sh- she got a lot of recognition, but she deserves as much as I do because um, I don't know how hard it was to crew me, but Noah did both, and he said that crewing was harder than running it. And so I can't say here and say you don't know what I went through, but because I don't know what Izzy went through to get me to that line, and it's a combination of like holding yourself together while also seeing the person that you love the most in the world just go and destroy themselves. Um, so when I have those finish line moments, I've always felt like it's ours to share. And if Izzy wasn't there at the end, it would have sucked. I would have hated the end of it. I hated the race. I would have hated the end of it if she wasn't there and I couldn't hold her in my arms and share that moment with her.
Speaking from a crew perspective, all you want is your runner to be happy. And when they come in and they're not happy, it's just, and they're not directly upset at you, but they're obviously processing a lot of emotions. And if one little thing goes wrong, like if dad's coffee is not hot enough, then it's the end of the world. And it's an awful feeling. And I go through it a lot with dad, where it's like I never want to crew him again. Like I just hate it.
Yeah, you're like, I don't think I can do this again.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Izzy said that.
actually hate it when you're in that state because it just puts me off so much.
But I often say as well that for you, when you say, when I'm having a bad moment, I want to quit or whatever it is, and you're like, no, you can't quit, But it's like you want the thing as much as I want the thing, but I'm the one going through the pain. And so it's like you're feeling like,
Well, my pain is
you're
not
quitting.
justified.
Well, you're trying to. I'm quitting. You're feeling like we're both quitting, but you're like, I'm not in pain. Why am I quitting? So it's almost
Was that a similar thing with Izzy? Did she feel like she just wanted it so much for you?
I think it's a different dynamic. So I think you come from a mindset where like you're also competing in like running events and you also want to be the best you possibly can be. Where Izzy is coming from she's a different kind of person that what we are. She's a carer. She's the nature of her is to look after people, to like she's a cancer nurse. Like that's in her blood, is to just like make sure people are okay and look after them. It's not to like fucking fight to be the best in the world at a running event. Like that's
like your mum.
yeah. So I think
Yeah.
it's probably a bit different for her where like she obviously doesn't want me to quit, but she's also like, you've done so well. I'm so proud of you. I don't want to see you hurt at that same point as well. So she's like, not that it's okay to quit, but she's probably got more of that side where she's like, I'm so proud that you've already done this. You don't have to go that extra mile.
Yeah. Well, it's been a few days now. What's one moment that you can't stop thinking about?
I think like watching some of the videos that Magic made at the finish line, just thinking of that finish line moment has been unbelievable. And he's got a clip in there where Doobs turns to me at the finish line and he says, you could be the best in the world. And every time I hear that, just like something hits different. And I had a really special moment with both Doobs and Ben when I was on course and one of the parts that looped out and back, I'd pulled up stumps and I'd waited for them. And yes, I'd have conversation and connection with them throughout, but they'd come back and I said, I'm done. And they said, instead of saying like, oh, like you can do another one or all this stuff and that, they just said like, mate, it has been an absolute privilege to be out here with you. And like getting emotional thinking about it. Like the way that they felt about being out there with me, I was like, I'm just a regular dude running loops. And they're like, what you've done here is like exponential to what anything we've ever seen. So just having moments like that where Shawnee, the race director, and those guys, where they're just like, what you've done, like you just have no idea what you've done, and to get recognition for those from those guys and have the pain finish, but then have that moment where they were like, we've still got to run, but the best part of our race has been like being a privilege to be with your, like a part of your race. Or like, that's second to none.
And that's what the ultra community is about.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty
That's
special.
pretty
It's
beautiful.
very special.
Yeah, those guys. I've been lucky enough to share a lot of loops with those guys, and it's like watching someone else. Backyard ultras they're so, it's such an emotional roller coaster. Once you get past that pain feeling, I've watched some incredible athletes cross lines and look at the other athlete, and everyone's just so happy for each other because it's like
Yeah.
they know. It's like they look them in the eye and they know that you've found your limit. That's what you you got what you came for.
Yeah.
We might say at the start, our ego might say, I'm going to win, I'm going to do, but really what we're saying is I'm coming for my limit. And when I've reached that limit, you kind of look around each other and you give each other a hug because it's like, you got it.
Yeah.
And everyone has it at different points. Someone has it at 2 yards, someone has it at 10, someone has it at 68. It's a pretty emotional ride. I know throughout the event, the Aussie team got mentioned a few times. And a lot of the times when it got mentioned, it was like, nah, I'm never doing this again. I'm not, I don't want to do this again. No way. But everyone wants to know, are you going to line up for Team Australia in October?
Yeah, I would never, ever, ever give up the chance to represent the green and gold. So 100%, when that spot holds and we go into Sat Champs, I'll be there and I'll throw absolutely everything at it. We'll be triple digits up on there for sure.
I love how you change every time. If you go no, when. It's like ingrained in you.
Yeah. Yeah. You've taught me well that as well. I think it's really important to say that. Well, I'll be there.
Because Dad catches himself sometimes saying, I hope, I will.
Yeah, the funny thing with me recently was it's not because I don't want to be at Sat Champs. It's because I know that there's a possibility that the list can change. But I will start changing my wording from now on, saying that list won't change. And of course, I want to see other people perform unbelievable in the Backyard Ultra and how the sport's evolving. Like anything can happen. Like you look at me and Jack Hanley. But yeah, I'll be at Sat Champs and I'll be performing.
I think it's really important that you are there, and it's same as Jack. One thing that I find when it comes to having younger guys on that team is that the older guys feel like, it's like you breathe new life into us. It's like when you have an old dog at home that's like 15 or 16 years old, it just can't even walk around. And then you buy a pup because you think the old dog's about to die. And then next minute, the old dog gets this new life and new lease on life and is running around like a puppy dog again. I think that that's an important dynamic to have on Team Australia. And yeah, you'll be there, Jack will be there, and then we'll have we'll take it up to the Belgians, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've been chatting to Jack the past couple of days, and we just been saying like, mate, me and you would have so much fun taking that like loop by loop. Like it'd just be so much fun. So I think we'd provide an even greater energy that we do separate. Just because we're probably a little bit younger and a little bit different to your average ultra runner. And it would just be an exciting time.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important to have that dynamic in the team. How about we'll get into some listener questions. I tell you what, I messaged you today about the listener questions. I wish I hadn't have put it out there because I got inundated. My inbox got inundated with messages, so I do apologize to anyone that.
Which there's a lot because there was a lot.
There was a lot. So I have whittled them down to like 6 or 7 that I thought were elite.
Yeah.
So do you want to start all or do you want me to go first?
I'll go. What would you like your crew to do differently next time?
Yeah, Izzy and I have spoken about this a lot over the past few days because we had the plan and then we went off plan. And the main reason we went off plan is because I was so bored. But I was very happy with how the plan was going. But then also they went off plan and got me to 68 hours. So I'm going to be conscious going into the next one that sometimes things happen to have to happen on the fly. But I was very happy with like there was nothing wrong with the foods that I was eating, and they were all sitting very well. And all I wanted to know was like I'm getting 20 to 30 grams of carbs when I'm at camp, and then I'm getting 40 from my mix when I'm on course. So we will find a system for that we can stick to for. We'll make a plan for 150 hours or something. Because like, for those that don't know, my plan going into this was 101 hours. And I don't know if anyone debuting a Backyard Ultra has had a plan for 101 hours. And I brought all of the food required for 101 hours so that I had no excuse to drop shorter. So I think we'll find a plan with the crew. And one of the other big things is having a proper system of shifts, like who's in and when, because as I spoke about before, we did it on the fly. Izzy Milk was my main crewman, and then we just worked it out over 3 days to however else it worked. We'd have a better plan where like some people are getting 4 or 5 hours sleep, coming back in and being fresh and stuff like that.
Yeah, you mentioned like the plan changing. My plan often changes. Foods are getting switched out here and there, but I think the main thing with having that plan there is that you can't come in and say, I don't want that, or I'm not eating, or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's the main reason. It doesn't matter what it is on the plan, as long as it's there. You kind of get in the habit of they're eating something every hour.
Yeah.
They're consuming this every hour.
Yeah.
And I mean, Phil's plan's one of the most elite plans on the planet. Like he's got his sleep loops and all that. They're also important. I think if you can manage them. It depends on how fast you can run. And then obviously, as you've seen, it got harder and harder the further you went, and there was only one pace left.
Yeah.
And that was reasonably slow. You did 48, 49-minute loops, and that's all you were doing. And, I think that it's important to have sleep loops, but obviously, I mean, things change. So,
Yeah.
What was the darkest thought you battled during the Backyard Ultra?
Darkest thought. There's a lot of them. I mean, you just think about quitting. And then when I think about quitting, I think I'm not going to be a man of my word. Like I think about what I said online. I think about what I've pulled Izzy out to do and prepared for, like 100 hours. So I wouldn't even call it a dark thought, but the most emotional thought was what I spoke about before when I was literally picturing sitting you guys down and telling you that I was quitting. Because that just opened the floodgates of emotions. I wouldn't call it so much dark in the sense that it knew that my race was coming to an end.
Did you feel that might have been a little bit of a why you were running at that point?
It was the only why.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that that why needs to shift away from that?
I'll change that. I'll find more whys because I think I know that the why is the most important part now. But at Sat Champs, with the 15 best runners in the country, like that will be my biggest why. Is because I didn't want to quit because I didn't want to let you down. I didn't want Adrian down. I wouldn't let Izzy or Noah down. If I'm at when I'm at Sat Champs, I won't quit because there's 15 guys out on that track with me that I'm not letting down, and there's a country that I'm not letting down.
And that's the biggest motivator.
That is the best thing about Sat Champs.
Yeah.
There is you drain the well till you literally cannot take another step.
Yeah.
And it's the best environment to get the best out of yourself. Because you're right, and no one's going to let you sit in that chair and stay in that chair either.
No.
So you could say whatever you like; they'll get you out of that chair, which is it's an awesome environment to be in.
So you did mention what Ben was kind of helping you out with on that last loop. But this question's asking, what did Ben Nichols say or do to get you through your tough lap? Is there like a quote you could quote him on that really stuck with you?
He just said, if you get through this loop and you get through the next loop, you're on the Australian team. And I said, what? I'm about to quit. And then he said, nah, I can't let you quit not knowing that. And then, yeah, we just ran together. It's not like a quote that pulled me out of the hole. But honestly, I think that like so many stars aligned for that moment to happen. And there were so many moments like that where like something just happened to happen and it shouldn't have, and it kept me in the race. And for that one in particular, it was Ben going to the toilet and being like 5 or 6 minutes behind his usual pace, because that's what I did at the very start. And there should have been no reason that I ran into Ben at that second toilet, but I did.
It's like the universe gave you a second chance or an opportunity, and that was your opportunity to take it.
And I think there was 3 or 4 moments throughout the whole race where something like that happened that I could pinpoint, but that was probably the biggest one.
That's cool. What's your number one tip for a newbie attempting their first backyard ultra?
Number one tip. Well, I would say like believing that you can do it, but obviously you're going to understand from me that you should do that. So I'm just going to say like prepare with the most in-depth research that you possibly can do. Go on like all the big guys' Instagrams and see the videos of their setups. Go binge all the podcasts that you can. And then once doing all of that, you'll pick up on all the little things that you need to do on the way, and you'll have a little notes on your phone that, for example, I have a notes on my phone from when I first started listening to the Backyard Ultra podcast, and every single thing that I thought that I needed that popped up, put it into that.
What was harder, the 42 Ks a day for 30 days straight or the 68 hours?
I've been asked this multiple times already. I like the 68 hours because there's no end line in sight, and there's no basically because of that. If I was going to go, all right, now I have to run 30 marathons in 30 days again, or run 68 hours again. 68 hours would be easier because I know I can do it in 68 hours and there's an end line there. But if I compare that event and how difficult it was compared to 30 and 30, see, it's so different because just the time is so, like, they're both long burns, but the 68 hours was a long, terrible burn.
You're not selling it very well
Nah,
to
be honest,
the newbie.
If you want to do a backyard ultra, I would not come to me to speak about it. If you want to learn stuff, I'll tell you. Like, I'm happy to talk to you about it. But I went to some dark moments, and I feel some ways about that race and event that I didn't think I'd want to feel coming out of it. I thought I'd love every moment, and I really want to be honest and say I wish I could say I could, and I did, but I just didn't. And I know things will change. And I've spoken to some people who felt the same. Like Jack said, he felt the same way. His first one and his second one, he loved the whole thing. So yeah, I think they both sucked. The 30 and 30 just went for longer. And they were both emotional roller coasters. 30 and 30 was emotional, and I was holding a lot of people's hurt around suicide, and that made it a lot different. The hurt I was holding around this was just about a running event.
Yep. You've kind of answered this, but how much planning went into it, and can you wing it a bit? This person is a backyard ultra in 7 weeks. Doesn't sound like they're all that prepared.
Oh, 7 weeks is sweet if you're asking me. Like, I pretty much just trained for my half marathon, and then I had 6 days to be like, all right, pull your finger out and go get all your gear and go sort everything. So which I sorted in that 6 days. And then when I was at the event, obviously I was there for a longer time than a lot of people. So I was learning more and changing things along the way. My advice would be get it prepared as soon as possible. But if you're 6 weeks out, or 7 weeks out, you've got plenty of time.
So winging it can work.
Winging it can work. Well, I wouldn't even call that winging it. I would call that prepared.
In comparison to 6 days.
Yeah.
But Brady was training. I don't know if you can wing it. Can you wing a backyard?
I mean, if you rocked up with like an Esky and a Kmart chair and then just tried to go as far, like you could probably grit your way to 100 Ks, which I've spoken to people a lot of people I've spoken to on course had said like, yeah, for my first one, that's what I did. And I just brought a bunch of like bakery items and raw dogged 100 Ks and then left. But then the second one they did, they had the layback chair, the bed, the full gazebo set up and all that stuff. I think you're better off preparing, which you've got 7 weeks for, and you'll probably go anywhere from 30 to 70% further than what you would do if you just raw dogged the whole thing.
When the pain cave hit, what was the thing you kept telling yourself?
I want to leave. It was more the fact of the things that I told myself before the race. Like I've
And what
told,
were they?
I won't quit in the chair. My job is just to start every loop and then finish every loop. And I'll be honest with you, like it's pretty difficult to not come in with the time in an hour. So I knew that every time I started a loop, it just meant like I was going to complete it. So that's what would go through my head. Just you're not allowed to quit in the chair. It's just kind of like one of those contracts with yourself before the event even starts that no matter what, I'm not going to quit in the chair.
I love that rule.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, last time you were on, you spoke about Carolyn and her story and what it meant to you to keep going. This week you ran 68 hours. What's one thing that you want our listeners to take from your journey at your first backyard ultra?
I just want you to know that like it doesn't matter who you are. You can believe in yourself and have an outcome that you never thought was possible before. So if you aren't the best runner and you're going into a backyard, there's still no reason to why you can't win it, in my personal opinion. It's a little bit different if you're going up against kids or people who race a 10K much faster than you in a 10K. But in so many different things in life, the only thing that's holding you back is the fact that you think you can't do it. And if you think you can't do it and you think you can't tell yourself you can do it, I guarantee you if you keep saying it enough and you say it out loud, eventually you're going to trick yourself into thinking that you probably can. Because like there's been so many moments where I'd come up with something outrageous and I would say it. And even though I say it, I know I'm not believing it's true. Like I know I can't do that. But I say it for 6 weeks straight. At some point, you're going to start believing it. And it's like faking it till you make it. It's like tricking your brain to fake it till you make it. And then all of a sudden you believe you can do it. And you end up going and doing it. You go, how the heck did I do that?
Well, you definitely did it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
You just got to have a day.
You
Just have a good day. All right, so we'll wrap this up. We
Cross the finish line.
We'll cross the finish line. You set a better by next week challenge for us last time.
I did.
All right. It was pretty good. And we've knocked some things off that list, haven't we?
We have.
We have knocked. Do you want us to show? So,
Let's do it.
all right. So I think I knocked the Harris challenge off. I think I knocked Sydney off. Ollie, what have you knocked off your
Jesus
list that
Christ.
Brady set for
I've
us?
been making my bed every day.
Have you been making your bed every day? I don't reckon you have. I reckon you're lying to me.
Are you lying?
No, I'm not lying. I promise. I
good.
promise.
He's lying. But what else did you have on that list?
I think we had 5,000 followers on Instagram. We've
Yeah.
completely smashed
Well,
that.
well,
That's unreal.
I really underestimated that one. Jesus.
So yeah, we've definitely been knocking over.
And the Spotify ones as well. The
yeah,
plays.
yeah. So we've been knocking a heap.
I
of
haven't
goals
knocked
over.
over any of my running goals yet, but
Well, you got some coming up. haven't you?
Have you
coming.
been going back to your goals every month
Yes,
and
I have.
readdressing them?
I almost go back to them every bloody day. I'm thinking about them.
Good.
I guess you got to do that. Yeah.
I almost, it's just to manifest it.
Yeah.
Like, my next one is Unbreakable, so I'm looking forward to that.
You've been on a roll.
I've had some good days. But can you set another Better by Next Week challenge for us? Sorry to put you on the spot. I should have messaged you earlier. Because your last one hit pretty well.
The last one did hit. Yeah, there's the high expectations here. You
No,
might have to give me a minute to
You don't have
think
to
about
top it. You don't have to top it.
You can have a minute.
So I feel like when I do something like this challenge, it's when, or like have a success like this or whatever, that's when people are feeling their most vulnerable enough to tell me how they feel about me. So that's when I have like my friends come and tell me like, I love you so much. Like you mean so much to me. Like this is incredible. And I appreciate that so, so much. But my challenge is to you guys. So every day over the next 7 days of the week, someone else in your life that you know, I want you to, let's do 4 messages and 3 phone calls. Because I know how difficult it can be, especially as a male. I want you to think of someone that truly means something to you. And I want you to wake up in the morning and choose someone different and text them and tell them why, as if they'd just done something like I've done, and say like, mate, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being there for the past 10 years of my life, or 5 years ago when this happened. So choose 7 different people. We'll go 4 text messages and 3 phone calls. And your person you're going to call is going to be like, why are you calling me? I want you to start off the phone and be like, hey, I just want to tell you how much you mean to me, and tell them why.
I really like that. I think I'm going to warm up with the 4 messages first.
Yeah.
Before I do the 3 phone calls. But I
Yeah.
really like that. That's another banger of a challenge.
Maybe we should just reach out to Brady for our challenges all the time.
I'd have him on speed dial.
I actually have a question for Ollie.
Yes.
When we were doing the pre-race interview and you were like 48 hours, I said, nah. And then you said, do you think you can win it? And I said, yes. What was your thought?
I had no doubt. I genuinely had no doubt, just knowing who you are as a person. And like I said before, the combination of you just not knowing what's to come sort of can work in your advantage if you're the person who's disciplined to go far. So it definitely took me by surprise, but you saying you want to win it, but I'm like, man, he's got that. Like, you've definitely got that. And then when you were just backing it up, every morning I was getting up, I'm like, like, damn. Yeah.
Well, let's wrap that up.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping on, Brady. Again.
Yeah, thanks heaps
Yeah.
for jumping on.
Thanks
You're
for
our
having
first
me.
double time guest.
There you go.
So,
Thanks for
man.
having me.